coming to Antioch, asking to give a guest lecture and kind of being pulled in slowly. But as I reflect back with the PhD program in particular, it's been a great opportunity to see how people choose to come here to the program because they choose to make a difference. They choose to find facts, knowledge that could actually help society. And I reflected I attended virtually my 35th reunion of the Kennedy School, the government Harvard reunion. We're supposed to reflect a little bit what we're doing right now. And I shared some of what some of the PhD students are doing in their research and how they're making a difference around the world. And the response I had from the other alumni was, wow, this is wonderful. You must be very fortunate to be able to work with people who are actually doing some great work here in other countries. And it says, yep, I'm very, very fortunate. So my reflection is that this is a very unique PhD program, I think, and that it's grounded on values of actually knowledge and understanding, as well as it's valued on making a difference, listening to society, and I'd love to say engaged scholarship, where we're not simply trying to grab data, publish some academic papers and get promoted to the next academic level in our career, but actually trying to seek out what the needs are and trying to do good research, working closely with the communities and helping make a difference. And I shared this with the Minister of the Environment in the DRC Congo a few years ago. And he was shocked that a university would actually focus on helping society as the primary goal besides scholarship. So, so we do stand out. So I thank you all for having a chance to be in a row here working with all of you. And I have one more student to finish up her PhD on wolves in Mongolia, and then I've finished my tenure. So that's my reflection, so thank you. So Jimmy, now it's up to you.
Well, I should have gone first now. Well said, and congratulations, Jim. I did not come prepared with any remarks.
I didn't either.
I could say this, although I'm a little nervous because I see it's being recorded, but it's amazing. It's amazing to have a career that never really felt like work. And so I feel in some regard I cheated the system somehow, you know, because it's always been a delight to hang out with my colleagues in the department, faculty and staff. And then every time there's a new cohort that comes in that I get to greet upon entry usually, it just is such a great, invigorating experience. Just as we finished research design just about an hour ago, how fortunate we all are to share this experience together. So I'm just grateful that I've been able to, I mean, if you knew me better, you'd know how precious my weekends are to devote to my home projects. But I can really say, with all honesty, having my weekends during this summer, in the past summers, but I mean, the past summers, they were intensive weeks, but having a bunch of my weekends since the spring, spending my time with the research design class was better than gardening and playing in my river and hanging out with my wife and going biking. It never felt like a chore or a burden. It was just an exciting opportunity. So I can only be so grateful. And I wanted to maybe leave you with a little two-word phrase that I've been using. I guess it came up when I prepared a little 5-second video clip for the graduates. And it just resonates for me, for what I've chosen to do in my path and what I hope you all choose to do in your own path. It's do different. Whatever it is, find out not just what excites you, but figure out how to do it differently than anybody else has ever done. Don't be different. we're all wonderful people. You know, that's not what I'm suggesting, but just do different. Figure out what's going to make your signature impact on the world and go do it. And I think you're all on that path anyway. But it's great to go through your life to be able to say, this path I've chosen, no one else has done. So enjoy it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jimmy. The last thing on the agenda is to recognize the baton transfer to Jean Carrera as the new PhD program director and Jason Rhodes as the associate PhD program together. Hooray for the two of you. I have to say you are in incredibly good hands, probably better hands than in the past. So this is really great. My hope, when you do something you really care about over a long period of time and you pass it on, you just want to pass it on to someone who will carry it their way but won't let it fall. And so I think they will do a wonderful job at leading the PhD program. So thank you. Jean, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I want to say something. Well, thank you so much, Jim. It has been wonderful learning with you. I'll miss you. And Jimmy, yes. I don't know. I don't think this is I have the energy even to, the thought of it. One thing that I think that has been helpful, kind of like being in this virtual world has kind of helped because how can I imagine walking our corridors, the hallways, and not seeing Jim and not seeing Jimmy? On Thursday morning, both Jimmy and I used to have classes, and he would, one time he scared me to death. I screamed like nothing, and then I got him the next time. So thank you. I've learned a lot from both of you, and we'll miss you greatly. Peter, do you want to take it from here?
Jean, what did you say?
I'm asking if Peter.
Peter, yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And one quick note too, if you have any problems, they can be delayed a week, just wait a week and give it to Jean.
No, okay, PhD students, questions, please write them right now before the 30th of June. Send them to Jim.
Yeah, well, I do want to step in here and thank Jim for the PhD community meeting, and for Jean and Jason for taking over. As Jim did indicate, the PhD program and all the PhD students are in really good hands with the skill sets that Jean and Jason are going to be bringing to the program. One thing that I think we all can count on is that Jim and Jimmy aren't going to be that far away. They are going to become affiliate faculty members to support the PhD students going forward. And the ES department will be nominating them for emeritus faculty status. And that should be coming through this fall. And therefore, once they're hooked with that status, they'll never be able to get away, and we'll always have the opportunity and the benefit of their wisdom and their skill sets and interacting with students. And I do hope that Jim Toole won't be your last doctoral students that you oversee. And I want to thank you, but I don't want to end there. I would really like to, if folks are willing to stick around for a few more minutes, I would like to share my screen with you. And Jim and Jimmy, I would like to acknowledge your retirement. And for all those that are joining us momentarily, we can't be face to face, have a retirement party with good food and accolades and laughs, but we do have the opportunity right now to say a few words, and I would like to recognize Jim Gruber for his long history with us, and Jimmy Karlan. And I'd like to start with Jim, if you're so inclined to listen to a few words. And I am recording this, and that's I hope that's all right with everybody, because a lot of folks have identified that they couldn't make it, and they'd love to be able to share this event with both of you and send you congratulations and thanks afterwards. But I'm going to start, and then I'm going to turn this over to Jean, and we will start with Jim, and if I can, you are seeing the slideshow. Yes, there you are. Jim Gruber, thank you. You know, Jim came to Antioch a long time ago, back in 1993, and he came as the executive director of the Antioch New England Institute. The Institute, in his role there, he oversaw over 60 different projects, both locally and regionally, internationally. And those programs really provided what we do at Antioch in terms of the applied work, resources and leadership development, community capacity building, environmental education, environmental policy and development and implementation were among the numerous projects that he oversaw. He joined the faculty while he was there in 1995 and started teaching with us. He did come to Antioch with a master's from MIT and a master's in public administration from the Kennedy School of Government that he mentioned his 35th reunion, I think it was, a little earlier. And then while here, he went on and got his PhD from the University of Zagreb. His dissertation, Principles of Effective and Sustainable Community-Based Natural Resource Management, I think was the foundation of his recent book. And congratulations, Jim, on that book and how collaboratively you work with so many of our students and writers to make that happen. In that book, How Communities Thrive, Principles, Inspiring Stories of Strengthening Local Conservation, Livelihood, and Social Viability. It's an awesome collection of those stories, and really a really good guide for folks that want to build sustainable communities. Now, Jim also had numerous administrative roles while he was here. He was the director of the Resource Management and Conservation Program from 2010 to 2013. A long stint as director of the PhD program, 2013 to now. And he was the chair of the department 2016, 2018. And Jim, being my immediate predecessor in the chair of role, provided invaluable guidance to me and to all of us. He always worked to improve the equity and the transparency within our department and pushed and advocated for that equity and transparency across the university. So I thank you, Jim, and I would love to ask Jean if you would join in and share a few thoughts, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, so Jim has been amazing. I will just share my screen as I'm sharing this. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay, so you see the picture, right? I can't see what you're seeing.
Yes, we can see the picture.
You see the picture, perfect. So yeah, so I can do this, all right? I can do this. So what can I say about Jim? Jim is an amazing mentor, teacher, leader, colleague, and friend. I am really honored to have worked with Jim because Jim knows how to solve problems. You can throw anything at him. Jim will know how to go around and how to do it. What is amazing is that he does all that with a lot of thoughtfulness, integrity, compassion, kindness, grace, and a great sense of humor. I stepped in to work with Jim and learn from Jim as the associate director for the PhD program in 2015. My goal was really to learn how this PhD program works. Because there were so many times I couldn't understand, like, what? How does this work? Well, okay. So when that opportunity came in, I thought, well, let me step in so that I can understand this complex program. Never did I think or imagine that one day I would even entertain the idea of directing the program. How did that happen? I can only say thanks to Jim. Working with Jim and learning with him has really boosted up my confidence. And so many times he has told me, Jean, you know more than you think. And I want to say that I think that is the phrase that I need to keep reminding myself or being reminded. As some of you know my story of the Peace Corps volunteer teacher in high school way back in Malawi. Well, I'm not going to go into that story today, but I find working with Jim in the same way that Mike Smizer helped when I was only in 9th grade in high school, because the mentorship and the belief that these two folks have helped me have really taken me up to say, okay, I think they are right. I think I have what it takes. So I want to thank you, Jim, so much for that belief in me. I have always been, so Jim and I have always had every Tuesday, 1 p.m., we had our check-in meetings. Jim, I always looked forward to those meetings. Never was there a day when I said, oh my goodness, I have to go to that meeting again. No, because I knew we were going to solve problems. No matter how complicated an issue we were navigating was, your cheerfulness and positive attitude was just outstanding. And you would always say, okay, Jean, I have an idea. And that idea has always been the best one. So I want to thank you for that. And also I want to mention that one of the qualities of Jim that I admire the most is this going back to saying, okay, the student voice. The student voice matters. The student voice matters. So paying attention and really prioritizing the annual student PhD, the annual review that PhD students do. So we have that every fall. And I want to tell you that those of you who are coming in now, perhaps maybe you are not aware, but it is this feedback that students have given us that have made us make changes to the program. as an instance, the MS in percent that came through your feedback. The changing of the course sequences, the true research classes, that came from the feedback from students. And thank you, Jim, for your leadership on all those initiatives. And you are indeed my source of inspiration and motivation. I miss you greatly, but the good news is I know how to get hold of you. And speaking of students, I mean, your work with the students has just been amazing and outstanding, so to speak. I heard from 2 of your former students who couldn't be here today, and they sent some words. And I am going to read those words. So I'll stop sharing so I can access. So this one is from Francis, who is stuck in Ghana. Jim has been extremely supportive of my academic growth and development from the very day I arrived at Antioch. Even after I left Antioch, he continues to mentor me by offering critical and constructive advice on how to excel in academia. I consider myself lucky to have had the opportunity to work with such a great academic. To the best of my knowledge, he dedicated himself to mentoring and supporting junior and emerging scholars at Antioch and beyond. I believe strongly that the Antioch community will miss him. I will miss him. I wish him the very best in his retirement. The other message is from Carolina. Carolina, I saw you. Do you want to say that message yourself? Oh.
You're muted, Carolina.
Is she talking?
Hi, how are you?
Do you
Congratulations, Jim and Jimmy, for this
We still can't hear you.
chapter in their lives. And Jean, your words were so touching. I think you expressed whatever all of us thought about Jim. He was my advisor. He was such a great person to me. He gave me so much great advice, not academic advice, and a life advice, which makes a great true mentor. And I thank Jim for that so much. He was so great to all of us. He would have a great attitude, his smile, his welcoming smile, and his open mind to everybody, make everybody all the time, make everybody feel so good about themselves. So I thank Jim for all of that, and I wish him all the happiness in the world for in this new chapter of his life. His lovely family, too, patients, the kids. I hope he has a great life, and I'm sure, because I know him, we know that he knows that we know that he's going to be involved from now on anyway, because he loves Antioch and he loves all of us. So I'm sure we will be in touch from now on with him. So good luck, happiness, and all the best for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you so much, Carolina, and thank you, Jim. I think I will pass the baton now to Jason.
Thanks, Jean. Well, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jim and Jimmy. So it is impossible to put all that into words, but I wanted to very quickly share 4 ways in which I've been inspired by Jim that I try to carry with me. And I think maybe you've been inspired in similar ways. So I wanted to share those, and I have a couple pictures that Jim's wife, Patience, kindly shared that I want to show as I talk about those 4 ways in which Jim has inspired me. So let me see if this comes up. 1 second, everybody. Oh, I just gotta get the present button going. Let's see if it works. Oh. Okay, can you see the, oh, is it going? It's loading. Maybe I'll abandon. Okay, good. Hopefully you can see the same picture that Jean finished off with, which is a gathering of the doctoral program at Jim's house. So one of the ways that I have been continually inspired by Jim is his focus on the community in terms of building community and working with communities to create positive change. And I think we can see that approach in the doctoral program and in the department and in his legacy at Antioch in terms of building community there and helping to create positive change within that community. See, hopefully it'll let me advance a slide. So another way that I've been inspired over and over again is this focus on the question of so what, always insisting that we think about not just the what of what we're examining, but the so what, that kind of engaged scholarship that Jim mentioned when he was talking a minute ago. So here's 2 pictures of Jim focusing on the so what. One is on a trip to the DRC. Another is representing the Association of Environmental Studies and Sciences at the United Nations conference in Kenya, I believe. The third way is Jim's warm-heartedness. So here is Jim with his beautiful family, some of the most amazing people you'd ever have the chance to meet. And I think Jim brings that same kind of inclusiveness and warmth to all of his collaborations. And it's just a blessing and a gift to have a collaborator and a mentor who brings that kind of compassion and warm-heartedness to his relationships. And then the last way that I am inspired by Jim that I have the time to mention today is his adventurous and curious spirit. He built his own house, came to New Hampshire to learn about timber framing, built his own beautiful house that many of you have been lucky enough to see. So there he is, I believe, working with Daniel and back at the original raising of the house with some old buddies. And you know, getting his doctorate in kind of after his established career. And then just a few years ago deciding, well, it would be interesting to get into winemaking and started a vineyard and has amazing quality wine that he's been producing. So that kind of constant reinvention and curiosity and adventurousness is so inspiring. And in that way, Jim, I wish you all the best in your next steps. And I thank both you and Jimmy for the legacy that you've left the department. It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to work in a space that bears your influence and impact all over. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
So Jude has something to say.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. What a best time to say a word than this. I would like to begin with Jimmy Karlan. Jimmy Karlan, the course that he taught, research design, is one of the memorable takeaways any student coming to NTO will never forget about. And I just want to say thank you once again. You have really impacted a lot on us. You laid a solid foundation, which enabled most of us to be able to conduct our research. Good luck wherever you may find yourself, Jimmy. And to Jim Gruber, I will speak to Jim Gruber as his student, as his advice. I mean, as a student under him when I came to Antioch. Jim, I just want to say congratulations on your retirement, and working under Jim was the best experience that any PhD student would ever hope for. There were times I lost track of my place in the program, but Jim was always on a standby to help me back on course. He has been a refuge of hope and encouragement in a typically unpredictable doctoral journey. I found a clear path in the program much to his efforts. I probably would have still been searching endlessly for the best pathway to completion if he were not my advisor. Jim has been more of a servant than a lecturer, providing unselfish service to students at all times. I did not only enjoy working under him, but I've also learned to serve in enthusiasm and in humility wherever I find myself. I just want to say thank you and goodbye. I will forever remember you, Jim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Jude. Do you want to go next?
Sure.
Oh,
So hi, Jim, and I
Yeah.
congratulate you for your retirement after years of commitment and hard work. And actually, it feels so recent. You interviewed me on the phone after I applied for Antioch, but it's been already 11 years since then. But all of these years, I've been truly grateful for everything you've done for me. And I have to say, you are the greatest professor I've ever had. So it's been a pleasure to learn from you and study under your guidance. Every time I have a challenge, I run to you and you always have a solution. And then I'm a lucky person and I'm so honored to have such a kind, caring, understanding professor. So I'm sending you all my best wishes for a happy retirement.
Tool, thank
And
you.
thank you.
You're not getting rid of me yet because we got to get your.
I know.
Lucky
Lucky me.
Thank you too. I think I will pass on to Peter now. I'm sure that we will have time at the end for more people to comment and for Jim to respond. Okay.
Great, thank you, Jean, and thank you all for those words. You know, as a department, we celebrate our retiring faculty, and whether it's an old-fashioned Rolex watch or a rocking chair, that just doesn't fit well with who we are and what we do. But we do like to provide something for our retirees to remember us by. And so to Jim, if I'm sharing correctly, no, not. Let's try this again. To Jim, try that. Are you seeing that bench?
Yes, lovely
Yes,
bench.
all right. So yeah, so there's the bench that we will be. I will personally deliver to your home, as well as a time-mitten bell. That is the turtle symbol, and if I can expand it, did that work?
I see. It's lovely. You know, 27 years, I've always wanted a tie bell. I never got one.
Well, there you go. You will be getting one soon. So I thank you, Jim, and yeah, really appreciate everything you've done. And if you will allow me to continue forward, and now I would appreciate being able to move on to Dr. Jimmy Karlan. And we want to say thank you, Jimmy, for everything you've done. Jimmy Karlan came to Antioch a long time ago, 1979, I believe it was, for a master's degree, K through 12 biology teacher certification. From there, he went on and got his doctorate in education from Harvard. And then he came back to Antioch as a core faculty member in 1995. And through his 23 years with the department, his mark has been profound. He was the director of the Science Teacher Certification Program since 1997, 21 years. And I'm gonna leave it to Jimmy to name the number of students that he taught and then do his cascading number of students that they will teach, because I'm sure it's in the thousands, and have an effect on
It's at
how,
1.2
how they
million.
learn from science. The thing about Jimmy that I really appreciate is that he was very objective in his just general operations and the way he does, always looking for ways forward with the student learning and the student voice as the primary filter, whether it was in applying it to curriculum design, development of the degree configuration, or the administration of our department and of our individual positions. Jimmy was always reminding us and helping us think about the students first. And that's really what makes a difference for all of us as we operate in this environmental studies department with a mission of environmental and social justice, working with and for the students. And Jimmy, of all of us, is always focusing on what will make the learning for all of us the best. And so I thank you, Jimmy, and I will stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to Michael Simpson, who is here to have a few words.
Okay, thanks, Peter. As I tell my students, I'm a Luddite here, so give me a second to share the screen and then start this little presentation. So I just have a few thoughts. Jimmy and I have worked and played together for many decades. And when it comes to sort of what Jimmy's priorities were in regards to Antioch, it is that the one truth that is evident that Jimmy always did things for students first. And so when there are prioritization of urgencies, it was not a difficult task for him because he always moved the pendulum in the right direction for his students, either directly interacting with them in his classes, as well as bringing them on to his various outreach and educational projects, and also looking at the system itself. As a colleague, and I think I can speak for many of my peers, he has brought a critical eye to the bottlenecks in the overarching system that hampers the faculty from providing the best that we can for those students. And he has shown us how to keep our focus on the ball when it comes to changing what seems inequitable, inadequate, or even unjust. Some might say that this gadfly tendency may be a little over the top, but Jimmy, you're our gadfly, and your passion has allowed for systematic change, not only in the department, but reverberating outward to the university itself. One thing I and others admire about Jimmy is his drive for innovation and creativity, which he brings to the students and his colleagues alike. And he models for the faculty how he might make our pedagogy better. Who could forget his proudly sharing with us so many years ago what a comprehensive syllabus should be for a curriculum design course? Or how he has used games and exercises that allow his students to internalize the important take-homes, such as his very creative use of disassembling and reassembling our department's microscopes in his problem-solving science course. Now, this is a great experiential and practical learning for the future science teachers, but somewhat of a challenge for us that had to use those microscopes in subsequent classes. But a true legacy, excuse me, a true legacy that will continue to reverberate beyond his residency here was his development of Wild Treasures, a year-long curriculum that I quote is to empower students of all ages to become knowledgeable, skilled, and actively engaged citizens who lead the way in building a sustainable future for our planet. One testimonial from a school teacher in Brattleboro, Vermont, that she has had the opportunity to have Wild Treasures in her school, and she says it is the highlight of my 14-year teaching career. The program has not only touched a multitude of middle and high school age children across New England, but it has engendered change within the school administrative units and actually reduces the ecological footprint and takes on more sustainable practices. He has continued this work. He now has a Wild Treasures climate change project, and his legacy will continue with this approach. Now, many of us, Jimmy has always been a keen observer of the natural world around him. And if you just look at the screen where Jimmy is, you'll know that he always tries to spend as much of his work and playtime outdoors as he can. Now, there is a theme that seems to emerge in Jimmy's life, and that is his fortitude to develop intimate relationships with our feathered friends. This passion manifested early on in Jimmy's career with Chuck, his roller pigeon. The latest manifestation is his spending hours sitting under a bird feeder on his porch throughout the winter. The results were impressive. But some of his closest friends think that he may be going a bit too far with this obsession with the bird kingdom. Whatever Jimmy turns his focus on in the future, I will assure you, it will be creative, innovative, and passionate, and always done for others. So I have one last musing as Jimmy walks off into the sunset. What will his final thoughts be as he crosses this threshold? Antioch, or ride and ride fast? So my friend, know that we will miss you. And there will be a part of you that will remain with each of us into the future. Now, anybody else wants to add? I'm going to stop screen sharing, and maybe you can use the participants list to raise your hand, and I think Peter will probably be monitoring this. And then he can call on people that have their hand raised in the participants list.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank
you.
you. I'd like to start with Marshall Adams.
Yeah, thank you for this great opportunity to pay my tribute to these wonderful professors of our time. I want to say thank you to Professor Jim Gruber and Professor Jimmy Karlan for everything that you've done for me and my fellow Antiochians. While I cannot tell you all the reasons why you forever remain part of us, and when I say us, I mean Antiochians, I am confident that for the tens of pebbles that you've dropped in the water, the ripple effects are endless. I want to emphasize that such little waves, if flow into a great big wave, you and your colleague professors have grown over the years are simple because the world needs us more than ever. I want to ask you this rhetorical question, that aren't you proud of this and other legacy that you've bequeathed to us Antiochians? On this note, I want to say best of your retirement times with family, friends, and community. Cheers.
Thank you, Marshall. Lindsay Radcliffe, please.
It's been my great good fortune to have these two wonderful men as professors, and I just can't help but feel lucky that I entered the program when I did, and now that I'm bringing my own doctoral study to a conclusion, I can say that I had these two fantastic men as mentors, professors, and in the case of Jimmy, advisor. And much has been said already about Jim and Jimmy's just phenomenal mentorship and teaching abilities. But I want to say to both, and especially to Jimmy, who's been my advisor for these last 4 years, that your belief in me and your trust in my intuition has given me confidence. And it hasn't escaped my attention that today's ceremony is also Father's Day. And I think that both of you have been in many ways a father figure to many of us. And I want to thank you for that. I wish you all the wonder and adventure that your hearts desire in your retirement. And I look forward to remaining connected with both of you in the coming years. All my best.
Thanks, Lindsay. Scott, please.
Jimmy, you are perhaps the most powerful example I've ever seen of somebody who is fully committed and passionate about what they do. The fullness with which you throw yourself into working with all of your students and even prospective students is inspiring and something I can only hope to emulate when I teach the way that you helped me learn to do.
Thank you, Stoff. Sue Gentile, please. Sue, you're muted.
Hello.
Hello. I'm always talking. No.
Hello, Jimmy.
It looks like you're okay, Sue. Go ahead and Try again. No, can't hear you.
Hello, Mohammed here from Kenya.
Hey, Mohammed, why don't you go ahead and say a few words, and Sue, maybe try something else and we'll get back to you in a second.
Okay. I very well remember Jimmy Gruber. I left Antioch in 2012. From the time he interviewed me for joining Antioch, Keen, up to 2012 when I left, I graduated. I am a living testimony of Jim Gruber's results. Today in Kenya, I am the managing director of Agricultural Development Corporation. And if it was not for Antioch, I will not reach that height. I am grateful to all the team, and particularly Jim, who saw me through from the time he interviewed me up to the end. I can remember the last days of my life in Keene, in Antioch. I had some medical problems, and Jimmy Gruber took personal initiative to drive me in his car to different hospitals within Keene. I cannot actually explain how grateful I am in his tutorial initiative, as well as his caring personality. I say thank you very much. I am not very sure whether we interacted with Jimmy Karlan, but to both of you, I wish you all the best. Although it might be a futile effort, but I think the world should start thinking of looking for medicine that can reverse age. Thank you, Jimmy. I don't know whether you remember me. You have been my mentor for the 2 years I was in Antioch, Kenya. Asante sana.
Mohammed,
Jambo.
great seeing you, Mohammed. Great seeing you.
Yeah, this used to call me Mohammed Kenya, and there was another Mohammed Egypt. You remember?
Yeah, here you are, Mohammed Kenyan. It's spelled differently too. Yes, different. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
to see you. Yes.
Thank you, Mohammed. Laura Andrews and then Ellie, I'll call on you after Laura.
Hey, everybody. Jim and Jimmy, it's been such a pleasure working with both of you for, I'm just thinking, 22 years with my 18-month sabbatical included. And I always felt with both of you like we were working so closely together to shepherd students, and so great to see so many of them into Antioch. And I felt like with both of you, they were going to be treated so well by you and our fellow colleagues. And Jimmy, having come out of middle school education, I was confident that each and every student that you educated was going to be fantastic in the classroom. And Jim, I loved working with you with the master's program, but particularly the work we did in the doctoral program was unbelievably exciting. Some of my best, most thrilling work in terms of helping international students and other students come into the program. And I felt like you, and this is true with other colleagues, had the right beautiful mixture of friend and colleague. And Jimmy, I love seeing the animals through your camera and kind of trying to figure out who they are. So you two are so special to me. You're in my heart, and I'm glad Michael broke up and Tool did too, because that's how I definitely feel, not thinking about you two being in the program and at Antioch. So please stay in touch. Thank you. Miss you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Ellie, and then Sue Gentili, please.
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank Jim Gruber and Jimmy Karlan for your commitment and long years of dedicated service to Antioch. Congratulations on your retirement. I wish both of you and your families all the best as you enjoy your retirement and fulfill your bucket list. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Sue.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Excellent.
can hear you.
Okay. Well, Jimmy was a professor of mine. And then as things turned out, that was rather earlier in his time at Antioch. He was just getting his legs under him then. We ended up working together from 2002 through this year. And so he is the longest continuous collegial association that I have had at Antioch University. And it has been delightful. He is fun, he is supportive, he's a mentor, he's a bit of an, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit of a nudge sometimes. And what always warmed my heart is that a number of cohorts over the years told me, and maybe they told him too, I'm not sure, that it was like having mom and dad, because Jimmy and I have different teaching styles, but we come fundamentally from the same philosophies, maybe even the same bottom lines, and our students will remember that term, I'm sure. And they enjoyed the fact that they got two very different experiences from us as instructors, but we were so in concert. In fact, sometimes they'd come into my class and they'd say, "This aligns so well with what we're doing in Jimmy's class." And they'd say, "You must plan together." And the fact of the matter is that we really didn't ever sit down and plan our courses together. So it's been such a pleasure, Jimmy. I know that we will stay in touch. I am sad for Antioch, but so happy for you. And to both you and Jim, I wish you all the best, and thank you both for making it fun to be a part of the department.
Thank you, Sue. And Sue, I want to pause and thank you for all your years of service working with Jimmy and all of our students. I understand that you might be moving on to different things also, and we really appreciate everything you've done for the program. And hopefully we can draw you all back to teach a class now and then, which would be great. I think it's time we should move on, and I would encourage you, all of us, to send individual comments and accolades to Jim and Jimmy. I'm sure they appreciate hearing from you. And like Jim Gruber, for Jimmy, we'd also like to share and present you with a bench that you can sit on in your out of doors. It doesn't come with the snacks, but we will provide some, I'm sure. And then also a tie mitten bell, in this case, a hummingbird.
Thank you.
And timeless joy, nectar of life and courage. And I want to say thank you both for all the years of service, and for all of you to sticking with us for an extra hour on Zoom. And I want to conclude this virtual ceremony for Jim and Jimmy, and hopefully next year we'll be able to get together face to face and provide all the hugs that we really want to give each other. And so virtual hugs to all, and have a happy Father's Day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for all the kind things you've done over the years and your kind comments. Thank you. It's very heartfelt.
Thank you, everyone. We're only as good as you are. So thank you for everything you brought to our lives and our career.
You're welcome.
And Sue Gentili, thanks for making the Science Cert concentration as great as it has been. It's been a wonderful ride with you.
Can I add in with a African proverb, which I think is very appropriate?
Yes, you certainly can. That would be wonderful.
African proverb I love. It goes, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Go alone, but go as a community. We're losing, breaking up.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Peter.
Peter, I saw you, Sue Weller.
Thank you. It was a happy reunion for me, for Antioch.
Congratulations, Jimmy and Jim. Really, really a pleasure. Can they hear me?
See you, Jess.
Thank you, Jacques.
You two have brought so much joy to my life. I thank you both very much, and I wish you a wonderful retirement.
Hi. Thank you for everything and have a wonderful retirement.
Ay, this is Suela.
Hi guys, I've got to run because my kids are coming, but I just want to thank you so much for making Antioch Antioch. It's been an incredible journey. I will remember both of you forever. I hope it's not the last that we give each other. And this is a big day. This is a big day. I just have to tell you, retirement's pretty good. So don't be afraid. Jump into the water. It's really quite lovely. Love you both, and thank you for all of your contributions to the department. We would never be as strong and successful if it wasn't for all of your contributions. So thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Love you.
Love you.
Hi, Jimmy.
Who is that?
This is Brian Forrest.
Hey, Brian.
I'm having trouble with sound, but it's good to see you. Congratulations. I want to be like you when I grow up.
I don't know if people can hear me. No. I have a very unstable internet connection. I think I've used my hotspot data limit up. So I'm here, but thank you. I'm so grateful to have had this career with you all.
You're welcome, Jimmy. We could hear you, yes. Good to see you, Galen, also.
You as well, Peter. Thank you for doing this. It's really a joy to hear everybody's words and just get to be a part of this. And I know how fond my dad is of all of you, his time with all of you. And so I'm grateful for the home that you've provided him and the space that you've given his creativity over the years.
We've benefited greatly from it.
Peter, whoop.
Oh, go ahead, Green.
Whoop, I might have to unmute because the dog might cooperate. I just want to thank Jim and Jimmy for all they did for me on my convoluted journey through Antioch, and supporting me as peers being probably the oldest student there at the time. And when I see the two of you retire, I really question where I'm going in life. So I don't think I'm quite ready to be where the two of you are, but I certainly would like your advice along the way. So please do stay in touch. And I want to thank you for helping me through what was seemed like a easy transition time, but as I reflect back, coming from a totally different life in environmental studies, it was the best experience of my life. And both of you being, as everybody else has said, really superior mentors, and I couldn't have asked for anything more. So thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. It's getting on 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I see Catherine Mason there. A few words, and then we should wrap up this at 2 o'clock.
Thank you. Galen said it really well, which is this has just been a gift for all of us because we feel like we've been part of Antioch for 27 years as well. At least I do. I mean, Galen's only been around for 26 of those years and Isaac 23, but it's 24, right?
23.
23. But yeah, I've learned a lot through this journey of watching all the amazing, amazing work you have all done. And it is such a gift to see you all on the screen, you know, to just see the wealth and the joy and the delight and the brilliance of you all collectively. The world is a better place because of your, not only of Antioch, but specifically your departments. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for
Wait,
sharing
wait,
with us.
Yeah, before you wrap this up, I wanted to say thank you. It's nice to finally see who Galen and Isaac are. I mean, I have heard a lot of great stories. Catherine, I don't know if you remember, but you and I met at the Horace Mann. But your sons, I've never met them, and it's just amazing to see them today. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm really trying so hard to, my kids told me to really, so I'm trying to stay true to that.
Well, we look forward to when social distancing is a thing of the past and we can convene in some way to acknowledge, you know, your times together have changed so many people's lives.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
We will. Thank you. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Happy Father's Day, everyone.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to me. Take care. And Harold, we've got the recording. We can stop that.
Oh yeah, I'll stop that right